friends, and make an intelligent decision when you go into the voting booth. We highly encourage, unless you're going to be out of the country, to go to your place of polling on election day, because Lord knows what happened in 2020. Do you see these straws? This is another reason you have to pay attention. Oh, I'm sorry. At the end of this evening's event, we are doing a straw poll. Each person will get a straw, and then at some point, when our auditors are done counting and everything's been recounted and audited, we will let you know who won the forum. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a forum, it is not a debate, which means there are 5 questions that I will ask. And again, I'm Jeff McDonald, I'm president of the Patriot Club of America. There is a clock. Thank you very much. There is a clock. Our candidates who were so kind to join us tonight will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. They will have 2 minutes to answer each question, and then they will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. If you so desire, and the candidates are available, obviously you can have conversations once the forum is done. So I would also like to thank very much the Republican Women of Baltimore County for co-hosting this event. Their president, stand up, Jolie McShane. I don't see our Vice President, Tony DeCesar. There he is, Tony DeCesar in the back door. Kate Sullivan, our Public Relations Director. Never sleeps. Zach Winter, our Vice President as well. Like the gubernatorial candidates, we had many candidates who are running for a plethora of offices join us tonight. And what Katie's going to do at this point, she's going to have each candidate come up and introduce themselves so you know obviously who they are, and if they're relevant to wherever you live. The candidates will simply introduce themselves. You'll have a name with a face, and then we will get started. So I will turn it over to Kate.
Thank you very much. I had a chance to speak to a few of the candidates to give you a little bit of a heads up. We had a few late registrations, so the Patriot Club met, we made a game time decision that we feel just to make sure that every candidate has an opportunity to introduce themselves. We would love it if all of the candidates would come and take a place right here up front. I am going to pass the microphone down the line, and we invite you as candidates to introduce yourself. Please tell us what you are running for, and also in which district. Please don't forget that. In which district you are running. Sometimes that doesn't matter for the people like Darren Badillo if you're running for the county, but in which district you're running. So I'm going to, with that, start down here on the line. Hold on. We ask that you only introduce yourself, say what you're running for, and in what district you are running. Tonight is not the time to give us a 2-minute spiel on what you're running for and on all of your points of view. We welcome every single person in this room to take a material. If you were to leave, please on your way out, grab some of the material. This is our little candidate buffet of material. You can learn more about each candidate as you look through their material. So we also recommend you do your research. That's of course what tonight is all about, educating yourself so you can make informed decisions. All right, with that, we are going to start with our first candidate. Please introduce yourself.
Before I do, I just want to thank Jeff and all the guys who put this meeting together. Yes, my name is Scott Pappas, and I'm running for county executive, and thank you all for coming out tonight.
I'm running for Board of Education, in District 4.
Hi, I'm Patty Fallon. I'm running in Legislative District 10 for delegate.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dave Wallace, running in the newly designed 2nd Congressional District. Thank you very much for coming out.
Good evening, my name is Lance Griffin. I'm also running in the newly designed 2nd Congressional District. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Chesner. I'm running for Board of Education in District 2.
Hi, my name is Maggie Dominowski. I'm also running for Board of Education in District 3.
Hello, I am Nicolene Ambrose, and I am running for our new 2nd Congressional District, and I'm here tonight with my campaign chairwoman, Ambassador Ellen Sauerbrei. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Tony Campbell. I'm running for County Council in the new District 6.
He could not be here tonight. I was his wife Kim. He's running for County Council in District 3.
Good evening, Tilo Klub, and I'm running for Baltimore County Executive. I almost forgot it.
Hi there, I'm Scott Graham, and I'm running for the House of Delegates in the 41st District.
My name is Darren Badillo, and I'm running to be the next Baltimore County Executive.
Hi there, good evening. My name is Dr. Jay Walt, and I'm running for House of Delegates right here in beautiful District 42B.
Everybody, my name is Andy Cool. I'm the Republican nominee for Baltimore County Sheriff.
And I'm running for Baltimore County Executive.
Everybody, I am Tim Fazenbaker. I'm running for the House of Delegates in District 6.
Everybody, I'm Blaine Gilhart, proudly endorsed by our Freedom Republican candidate for Governor, Dan Cox. And I'm running for House of Delegates in District 8.
Hello, my name is Timothy Newbauer. I was just endorsed by the American Rights of Life, and I am running in the House of Delegates in District 8.
Hi everybody, I'm Maureen Robinson, and I'm running for District 12 in the Senate area. So it's Howard County and Anne Arundel County. I'm here because Patriots are a close-knit community. Share my name. Anyone you know who's being harassed by Clarence Lamb, vote for Maureen Robinson.
Good evening, my name is Ron Jones. I'm not running for anything, but my good friend Michael Peruka is running for Attorney General for the state of
I'm sorry, I do see 2 candidates that do need to be up here, Jim Rendisi and Jordana Schiafinelli. And if anyone else is realizing they're a candidate and forgot to come up here, come on up, please.
Come on down.
Please, this is our local forum. All politics are local. We need to introduce ourselves to these candidates.
All right, so my name is Jordana Schiafinelli, and I'm running with Dan Cox as his next Lieutenant Governor and your next Lieutenant Governor.
Running for Councilmanic Central Committee member in District 6, and we're going to kick butt.
I'm Jay Bailey, and I'm running for Central Committee in District 6.
All right, and I will say, Tony DeCesar. Okay, well, I'm going to just say for Tony. Tony DeCesar is running for Republican Central Committee in District 3, as am I. Kate Sullivan running for Republican Central Committee in District 3. And Ginny. There you go, see?
So I'm Ginny Deese, and I'm running for Central Committee in District Councilman in District 7. I'm starting a new group in the Eastern region, so if anybody's available on June 22nd at Squires, and you live in Essex 6 Middle River and Dundalk. Woohoo, come out and see us.
I'm Tony DeCesar. I'm running for Central Committee in District 3 with my good friend Kate Sullivan.
Thank you, candidates. You can take your seats. Thank you so much. I have given them 3 times. Come on now. And I'm going to say one last thing. There is a sheet that was on your seat. That rhymed. There was a sheet, and this sheet is very important. Some of you in this room, probably not many of you, but some of you in this room do not know which district you live in. You may not even know the difference between a legislative district, a congressional district, and a councilmanic district. And that's okay, because about 9 months ago, neither did I. So there's no shame in that, but we want to give you the resources to figure that out, because if you do not know where you live, you will not know who to vote for. Because the vast majority of these candidates are very local to your area. So please, 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 find out where you live, because then you can make informed decisions about who you need to vote for. This is a very, very, very important election. I would think that it's probably the most important election, at least in my lifetime. All politics are local. We have learned that over the last 2 years. These are the people that have ruined our lives. Let's make our lives better by voting in the right people. That is all I have to say about that. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeff McDonald, who is going to be our master of ceremonies and take us home for the evening. So thank you very much for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't need a microphone with this. We are one nation under God. If you will, please stand and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Gentlemen, please remove your hats. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. For those who do not know, our Republican gubernatorial candidates, -1 for 2022 are Mr. Robin Ficker, Werner. Before I get started, I know we all have favorites, right? Let's be respectful. Like I said, each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement, 2 minutes to answer each of the 5 questions, 2 minutes for closing statements. Please don't forget, we will be doing the straw poll after our forum this evening. So if everybody's ready, let's roll. Okay, gentlemen, Mr. Ficker, we'll start with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Republicans of all ages, I'm Robin Ficker, running for governor. When you come down to Annapolis and you ask to see someone from Baltimore County, you don't want to be told to look in the mirror. You want to have someone there who's from Baltimore County. And my running mate, Leroy Yegi, for lieutenant governor, has lived in Baltimore County for 56 years. He knows Baltimore County like the palm of his hand. So if you come down and you say you want to talk to Baltimore County, we'll say, talk to Leroy. When you run for governor, you have to have done something ahead of time. You can't just come in and chit-chat. I have placed 25 matters on the ballot in Maryland's largest county, most liberal county, Montgomery County. We got term limits through with 70% of the vote. 5 of them couldn't run for re-election, and this year, 3 more of those tax increase specialists cannot run for re-election. I got a limit on property taxes through over the opposition of every elected person who's a Democrat and the Washington Post. The Washington Post has opposed every one of my questions. And we required a unanimous county council for the property tax revenue to be increased more than the rate of inflation. Plus, we also got one through to keep garbage dumps out of residential zones and sewage sludge trenching out of residential zones. I'm the only candidate running who's going to cut your taxes. We're going to cut the state sales tax $780 a year per household. That's by 1/3, 2 cents. No state has ever cut its sales tax. If you eliminate the automatic increase on the gas tax, it saves you $50 a year. This is $780, and we'll have a mandate. It won't be Robin's mandate. It'll be your mandate, because you will have voted for someone who's been advocating this from day one.
Thank you.
Not so good. Let me come back here to Baltimore, land of my youth. I grew up coming to Garfield Avenue in Moncton. My grandmother and grandfather were members of the Central Committee here and were hardworking Goldwater Republicans. Then Ronald Reagan caught their eye and they dragged me along when I was a young man to door knock. So that was my beginning of politics. My wife and I now are investing everything we have to restore freedom in Maryland with our 10 children. We're stakeholders too. So as a state delegate, I have fought for 4 years in the House for each of you. I look at this as a statewide opportunity. In the Judiciary Committee, we stopped the defund the police. We stopped the gun grabs. We have fought hard. We stopped the assisted suicide bill. And we have done everything we could to preserve our freedom here in Maryland during the lockdowns. Sadly, it wasn't enough. So I went to bat. I went to war, so to speak, against the whole lockdown ideology that says that somehow our Constitution has to be set aside. That is wrong. The Constitution doesn't exist just for peacetime, folks. Article 44, Declaration of Rights, in the Maryland Constitution says it applies at all times. And so I am asking for your vote because I'm running to give us back our freedoms, to restore the Constitution. No more jab for jobs. No more forced masking. No more candidates who walk around pretending to be Republicans and say, wear the damn mask, and if you don't take the jab, you're out on the street. Yeah. Never again in Maryland are we going to allow that. Yeah. The debacle in our schools. We have great, wonderful leaders from the House of Delegates that are here tonight, including one of my heroes, Ambassador Ellen Sauerbrey, who was elected governor of Maryland. And I'm telling you what, she fought for our family values, and now they're indoctrinating our kids. Now they're trying to gender propagandize because it's a Marxist philosophy. We're going to end that, and I will cut our taxes. We're going to reduce property taxes. We're going to make sure our budget comes back to you instead of the Trump tax cuts sitting where they are in the Treasury. I'm endorsed by President Donald Trump, and I will give you the tax credits that he gave us. Thank you.
From Baltimore County. Everyone tells you, I've been here pretty much my whole life. I live in Edgemere. My wife has been here and has a small business over in Essex for 20 years. She runs 2 nail salons. We have small businesses right here in Baltimore County. My Lieutenant Governor, he has a small pharmacy. He's a pharmacist. He owns a pharmacy here, right inside Baltimore City. It is in Baltimore County. It used to be called White Marsh, that's Nottingham. So anyway, we're here. We're just part of this county. My wife has been here, and we went through lockdowns. I can tell you, I will never be for a lockdown. Why? You can't believe how it hurt our business, what it did to our family. I have 4 children. They're all in public school. The mask mandates. I can see how, especially the 2 youngest, have changed. My little one, she's 13 years old. The way she mumbles sometimes, or the way she hides her face, or the way she has become insecure. I would never do that to anyone. It's ridiculous what we did in the state by putting the mask. And you'll hear people tell you, oh no, for opening the schools, no masks and no mandates and no jabs. Yet they were in power, and they did that. So you have to really watch who you're voting for when it comes to these things. I grew up in Baltimore County. I've gone through this, public school system. I would change the school system. I would have let the money follow the child and let there be excellence. In 1994, I wrote the first charter school bills in D.C. I worked with Hilda Mason. I've been strongly in support of charter schools or voucher schools since 1994. My position hasn't changed. Competition in business is good, competition in politics is good, competition in the school system is good. That goes for all levels. We got to redo the whole school system. We're going to forgive student loans. Why? Because the colleges were overpriced and weren't any good? That has nothing to do with us, the taxpayer. We got to redo how that's done. So I would change the school system, and I would give you tax breaks. I mean, we're all for tax breaks. So anyway, I'll talk to you more later. Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you. Question number 1, pertaining to government mandates. Given what we now know about the COVID lockdowns and the unconstitutional mandates, the effect that they had on society, and most important, the effect on many of our children, what would your administration's position be moving forward if Maryland was again faced with another epidemic? We'll start with you again, Mr. Ficker, and we'll rotate.
I'm the only one up here who actually marched around State Circle for the very first open Maryland rally in April of 2020. I'm the only person here who took part in the rally that went from Frederick all the way to Salisbury to protest the closing down of Maryland. And I'm the only candidate up here who spoke at the third rally in Annapolis to say that schools must be open in September. And that was September of 2020. And it took 2 more years. No one else at that rally mentioned the schools. And I know that there's no excuse for Maryland to be last among all 50 states in percentage of students who attended physical, in-person, non-virtual school. We were last of all the states, and under my administration, we're not going to have any more mandates. I admire Governor DeSantis. My brother lives in his state, and I'm going to go along with the DeSantis and also Youngkin programs to end the mandates. The only mandate I'm really going to have is no taxes. That's a mandate for sure. We're not going to have any taxes. And another mandate I'm going to have is I'm going to empty out the State Department of Commerce, which has been an abject failure. Just in the past 2 weeks, we've had Caterpillar move its national headquarters to Texas. We've had Boeing move its national headquarters to Northern Virginia. We've had Hyundai move a $5.5 billion car battery plant, not to Maryland, but rather to Georgia. And we've also had Raytheon move its national headquarters to Northern Virginia. I'm going to mandate that we get rid of our people in the Maryland Department of Commerce that have done absolutely nothing. They brought in no new business into Maryland, and we're going to have a job strike force to bring well-paying jobs back to you.
Thank you.
So I was also there, and I was pleased to be at the first lockdown opportunity to protest, and I know Robin didn't realize that because I was actually videoing Robin. I saw Robin, I got a video out, I was videoing. We had a great procession, and one of the things that happened to me was that when I went to speak, I was supposed to be a keynote speaker at the second one. I received a call from a top law enforcement official in the state of Maryland. He told me that the word came down at the governor's office that the governor himself had ordered that I be arrested as a state delegate for violating his executive order, leaving my home and going to an assembly of more than 10 people. Remember that? $5,000 fine, 1 year in jail. So what do I do? Do I go out there and get arrested and look like a big guy on TV or an idiot, however it comes out? Or do I do what my law professor, Jay Sekulow and company at my law school always said, and that is, before you go out and become a Martin Luther King Jr. hero, why don't you ask a federal judge whether it be so? So I did. So we filed that. We asked the federal judge, I had to get a federal judge to rebuke the governor for consistent harassment of me. And the end result is every time we file a motion to end the masks, and I warn people, what's coming is a vaccine mandate. The masks, the forced masking was the beginning of a vaccine passport. Because in my committee and in the legislature we saw this coming. And my opponent is part of this. And the gentleman on the stage, it would be a tragedy that my good friends on the stage would be accidentally misused to split my vote for the person who is not here today, who is once again dodging the Republican debates. Yep. Once again, she's for a vaccine mandate, a vaccine passport. Go to myirmobile.com. It's presently right now being prepared for you. I will end it, I will ban it, and we'll never again have these mandates.
Again, thank you very much for having me here. I'm against all the lockdowns, the mandates, the vaccines. I feel like if you want to get a vaccine, that's up to you. If you want to take an immunization, that's up to you. Between you and your doctor. Look what was happening with all these children. Anyone under the age of 18, now we found that they have heart conditions. And the state forced you to take a vaccine that was just exploratory, what it even is. Right. Yeah. So you don't know what you're putting in your body or what the negative side effects are. What if 10 years from now we find out that there's all kinds of, like, you get heart disease? What happens to those young people that have all kinds of problems? Who's going to take care of them? No. Yet the government, under Biden, passed laws to exempt them. They took all these vaccine manufacturers and gave them immunity. Here in the state of Maryland, I thought it was ridiculous that we went all along with it. I love what DeSantis did. He stood up against the tide. Look at New York, how many people he killed in New York. The governor of New York put all those sick people back into nursing homes where we know they were dying. He was killing the old people. If you want to do anything, they say you lock down or you look at who really is sick. You help protect the old people. You don't stop schools. You don't stop young children from going to school. That wasn't spreading the disease. And same with all, like to say, the mask, no. The mandates to have the vaccine, no. You're free in America, and what they'll tell you is like a constitution. The Constitution is not absolute. No, it is. The Constitution is an absolute limit on the power of government. It's not a limit on your freedom. We're free. That's the founding fathers. We're free people. And we lived and deserve to be free, and the Constitution was made to give power to the government, and it limited the number of powers they gave to the government, not to us. So I'm against all these mandates. I'm against all these lockdowns. I saw, like I said, what it did with my daughter. I saw what it did with the children. Children were committing suicide. Why? Oh, we're saving them from the COVID. That was just a way to manipulate you and control you. I'm against that all. Thank you.
Question number 2, we'll start with Mr. Cox. Pertaining to election integrity, given what we are learning about the 2000 election integrity or lack thereof, what would your administration's policy be to assure clean, concise, and fair elections in Maryland in the future?
So, Robin, just real quick, do you remember seeing our good friend here to my left fighting with us against these mandates? I don't recall that. That's a concern. You know, we have a lot of times during elections when individuals who claim to be on your side are really put there or stepping up to do one thing, to let the one who's not in the room have the extra vote, to try to split the conservative vote. Yeah. Think carefully about this. I stood with President Trump to fight for our elections. I was with Lawyers for Trump in Philadelphia. I was every, I guess 3 weeks fighting every day. It was a heart-wrenching experience. I told people it felt like we were bleeding out. It felt like that the presidency was slipping away from our hands in front of us because we saw the fraud. And when people say that, oh, Cox is a conspirator because he's saying that the election was stolen, it was stolen, and let me tell you why. I challenge anyone to call Justice Alito a conspirator. Justice Alito took my affidavit, along with 3 other Trump lawyers, and he stopped the Pennsylvania count. And sadly, as we know, he couldn't get the 4th vote. It takes 4 votes to actually hear the case at the Supreme Court. He couldn't get that 4th vote. So here we are today, and you know, a lot of people don't understand, or the media is not telling us that President Trump has won over 76% of his election challenges. Right now in Arizona, a Democrat pled guilty, went to jail for ballot stuffing. How many people have not seen 2,000 Mules? So there's quite a number. I urge you, as a fellow patriot and Republican, watch 2,000 Mules. It will tell you, we have the cell phone data. We are zeroed in on what they're doing. They're trying to pad using mail-in ballots to pad the drop boxes. So I need your help on our campaign to stop it. We're going to fight it every step of the campaign, and when I'm in, we're going to expose it through audits. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would think to have in-person voting more. I think the mail-in votes were ridiculous. They push too much into mail-ins, and it's fraud. And you can say anything you want. Even the people who know in the Democratic Party say mail-in votes are prone to fraud. So you should have only, if you have an absentee ballot, you're in the military, or you have a real good reason like your illness. You should have to sign the ballot, you should have to be able to verify who you are. I would have in-person voting. I would still do some of the early voting, but I think at the poll is the best way to go. You show up, you have an ID. I don't see anything wrong with getting a Maryland state driver's license or a Maryland MVA issued driver's license or ID. When you show up, why shouldn't I know who you are? If you buy tobacco, now you want all kind of verification for a weapon, yet they're going to let anyone vote? We've got thousands of illegal aliens coming into this state. I know that I have family that have green cards. When it came to mail-in voting, a lot of our friends got ballots in the mail and they're not citizens. How do you send ballots to people that are dead, ballots to people who are not citizens, and you say it's a fair election? I think there was a lot of anomalies in the last election, and part of the COVID lockdown was to fake us out and push for a fake vote. But I'm for in-person voting, and I would say it's not a bad idea to have a paper ballot, especially for federal elections. You take a circle who you like. That's what I would do. I'll go in, I'll take the paper ballot, I'll circle who I like and put it in the machine, and we count the votes that night. And later that night, we know who won. We don't have to say, well, we're going to count a bunch of all the mail-in ballots. Because I guess you say, okay, well, I need 20,000 votes. We're going to stuff 10,001 votes. That's wrong. I want to know right then, and that's a way we bring our community together. I loved when I got my first card when I voted in 1980. I was 18 years old. I thought it was great. I got to go to the ballot and vote. It was like a communal activity. Let's bring that back.
Thank you.
I'm going to answer the question about election integrity. I just want to go back and clean up 2 little details. My ballot questions that have passed, and indeed my ballot questions I placed on the ballot by collecting $18,000 each, 18,000 signatures each, have received 2,537,403 votes, which is more votes than Ben Jealous and Larry Hogan got put together. So these are very legitimate questions, and they were overwhelmingly popular. Also, if Larry Hogan called me up before a rally to open up Maryland and said, Robin, if you speak at this rally, I'm going to arrest you, my reply would be, Larry, I like your looks, I like your style, I'm going to start speaking in a little while. And that's exactly what I would have done. It wouldn't have intimidated me. I'm not scared of anyone like that. I had a case, the definitive sex discrimination case in Maryland history, where the attorney for the attorney for the county attorney's office, who was rating all female job applicants from upper to lower quarter as the physique and facial features, the judge said, I want you two to work out this case, go in this little cell right here next to the courtroom and work it out. We worked it out in 6 hours. They thought it would take a lot longer than that. So I'm not going to be intimidated easily. There's something wrong with Maryland, though, and let me tell you what it is. You all got an application for absentee ballots. You all got it. One of the questions was, do you want an absentee ballot sent to you for all future elections? That was a question that you could respond to and send it back. And you know as well as I do that you wouldn't leave your credit cards lying around. You wouldn't do it. And you don't want to see hot ballots lying around. All these people who check, yes, I want an absentee ballot for all future elections, they're certainly going to die at some point, and many of them will move away. So we're going to have tens of thousands of hot ballots in future elections lying around. And I'm also in favor of voter ID, simply because when you go to a bank, you buy insurance, when you go to NBA, you've got to show your ID. It only makes sense. We don't want fraud in our elections. And I couldn't have represented my son, who's 35 years younger than me, at the polls, but I could easily have mailed in his absentee ballot.
Thank you.
Since, point of question. He's got an extra 34 seconds. Can I take that?
Technical malfunction, what is it? Wardrobe malfunction. So, gentlemen, as a follow-up, this is simply yes or no. If elected governor, would you encourage an audit of the 2020 election in Maryland? Mr. Cox, you started, so.
Yes, absolutely. And I would also go on and order that until we get this straight, we have to eliminate all these boxes and go back to one-day voting on paper. Stop the machine counting. It's actually right now the ESS machines are going through unsecure packets of information are going up and down. So we have to stop.
Yes, I'm for the audit and again, in-person voting and voter ID.
I love Judicial Watch. It just won this redistricting gerrymandering case. And they have challenged Maryland and Montgomery County because they say you've got more people registered to vote than there are in the county. These rolls are not accurate. We need to check and make sure that everyone on those rolls is actually a living person, is a citizen, and can vote. And there are a lot of people, there's a lot of dead wood in these voter rolls.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Werner, we'll start with you. Pertaining to critical race theory and education, what would be your administration's position regarding supporting a parents' right bill that focuses on returning to a classical education, i.e. reading, writing, history, arithmetic, civics, and teaching life skills?
Yeah, I would definitely be for that. I mean, that's why I'm talking about charter schools and charter school bills and competition. You know, you send your children to go get an education, not to get an indoctrination. I'm here to teach my children how to read, write. You can talk about Baltimore City. Yeah, we're going to critical race theory, and they're going to tell one group of people you are oppressed by another group of people, and we don't like this group of people, and that group of people are better because they suffered. Yet, when people graduate from, just an example, Patterson High School, you know more children that graduate from Patterson High School are reading at a kindergarten level than reading at a high school level. They said that 2% of the children at Patterson High School can read and do math at a high school level. And now we're talking about giving them free college education. Why? If you don't have a high school education, if you've got a kindergarten education, you're getting out of high school, you don't need more useless education. And at CRT, I believe in teaching history. Teach it right. Yeah, there was a lot of bad things that happened. Then there was like awful things in American history. We had slavery, we had other number of things. However, put it in context with what's going on in the world. When you say, look how bad America was when they did this. Yet you say, look at the rest of the world, they were worse. Now, I'm not trying to compare, this to that. But you got to teach it fairly and say America was a progressive country. America pushed for people that have more rights than any other nation in this world. That's why there's millions of people streaming across our border. So I would be for a parent's right, because you as a parent should choose how you want to educate your child. You as a parent should know what they're teaching your child in school. How do you know when you go off and they're having transgenderism? I'm not against anyone. You're transgender? That's great, that's for you. Don't tell my 5 and 6 and 8-year-old child. You know, when you're a child and you're pretending to be a pirate, they're gonna put an eye patch on you and tell you you're a pirate. If you pretend that you're doing something like you're a boy or a girl, don't want to put germs in you. No, I'm from parents right to know.
Thank you.
I think we should maximize parental input into the schools, that's for sure. And Governor Youngkin had it absolutely right in that respect. I am someone who absolutely loved school. I had perfect attendance in 10 of my 12 years in high school and elementary, junior high. My dad was a Rhodes Scholar. He worked in the Library of Congress for 40 years, and he used to bring me home 6 books every week to read. By the time I graduated from elementary school, I had visited every country in the world, all without leaving my house. And I want to encourage the kids of Maryland to read. I'm going to have a contest. We're going to pick a winner in every class in every school, the kid who reads the most books in a year. And I don't care where you read them. You can read them during class if the teacher doesn't complain. You can read them between class. You can read the evenings and weekends. The kid that reads the most books is going to win the Governor's Reading Award. And I'm going to have all these kids come down to the State House. We're going to get the awards out, and we may even get a little scholarship or 2 out. That's what I want. I want a state that reads, and I'm tired of hearing what kids can't do. I know as the twig is bent, so grows the tree. If we challenge the kids, they will respond because they're just as good as we are or better. And that's what I'm going to do. We're going to have an athletic state so that people aren't worried about these negative, non-wholesome things. And we're going to have a state of readers and bibliophiles. That's my goal.
Going to end transgender males born as males competing against females in our sports. We're going to strike out of the curriculum this gender propaganda that's Marxist and this critical theory that's being permeated both with race and gender in our curriculum. It is Marxism, folks. You know why my running mate is running so hard for us here in Maryland? Because she understands Marxism. She came from former communist country. We have it front and center. If you've seen what the Marxists are doing, if you've read Naked Communists, if you've read the Communist Manifesto, the first issues of attack: abolition of the family, abolition of business, abolition of our churches and houses of faith and our moral foundation, and divisive pitting one against each other. And so when you see what's going on, I've been fighting this for multiple years. The proof in my background is really just my heart. I mean, if you look back at what we've done, and my wife and I have fought for our kids. We have served in a homeschooling community for 10 years before I became a lawyer and a businessman for 17 years. And during this time, I lobbied Annapolis to protect our parental rights. And as state delegate, I've done that. I introduced the House Bill 618, Parental Bill of Rights. And I did it to protect each one of us and our kids and our grandkids. And interestingly, my opponent came out the next week with her parental bill of rights. Happened to be almost exactly like mine. And I felt very privileged that she would think so well of it, particularly since the person who endorsed her, that same week that I was fighting in committee with 50,000 parents, many of you might have been helping that effort, went on national TV. The man who endorsed her went on national TV to trash parents, called them, quote, crazy and absurd. Well, that's going to end on my watch, and parents are once again going to be respected. and our children, and they're going to have notice, they're going to know what's going on in their curriculum. We're going to clean out these horrific books like Genderqueer, which I can't even describe. And we're going to once again teach the subjects and the greatness of America. And we're going to pledge allegiance every day to this flag, and we're going to love our country.
I'm going to ask the question because we put it there, but it's almost rhetorical at this point. But before I say that, Mr. Cox, you mentioned the book Genderqueer. Ladies and gentlemen, you may or may not know that right now in Baltimore County, not only is the book Genderqueer in our schools, the book Lawn Boy is in our schools, and if you don't know what either of them are, I'm not a prude by any extent of the imagination, but it's absolutely disgraceful and deplorable. And in some of our elementary schools, does everyone know who Malcolm X Kendi is?
Yes.
Okay. They are requiring teachers in our elementary schools to read Malcolm X Kendi's book. So I felt compelled to say that based on Mr. Cox mentioning that. So that the follow-up question, and this is a slam dunk, do you support critical race theory? I think you would.
No, obviously, we're all against that. So.
Okay. All right. So, back to Mr. Ficker. Question number 4 pertaining to our Second Amendment. Currently, there are 25 states who are constitutional carry states. This year alone, Alabama, Ohio, Indiana, and Georgia passed such laws. If elected governor, what would your administration do to work toward Maryland becoming a constitutional carry state?
I'd be in favor of becoming such a state. It should have been years ago. I'm the only one running on the Republican side who has an honorable discharge from the U.S. Army. I attended the United States Military Academy and an honorable discharge. I was an expert marksman. I was king of the pits in hand-to-hand combat. They called me butt kicker Ficker. If you think these Democrats down there are going to push me around, you've got another thing coming. One of our opponents who isn't here doesn't want to debate. I can tell you that a Republican governor in Maryland isn't debating once a week or once a day. He's debating every 5 minutes, 24/7. You have to be able to debate. They're coming at you. I'm from Montgomery County. Every elected official is a Democrat. They've opposed all my questions. The Washington Post ran 5 editorials against my question that one was 70% of the vote. I'm used to them coming at me, and I can handle it. I can take the heat. So I'm going to be fighting for our Second Amendment and our First Amendment. You better believe it. Nice to be with you. Robin, your next governor.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to make sure we're pushing towards a constitutional carry state because this is your carry permit. It's called the Constitution of the United States. It says, I will instruct the Maryland State Police to shall issue permits. I will instruct them to stop enforcing illegal laws in the books that are unconstitutional, such as the red flag law, which takes away your Fourth Amendment rights. And if anybody thinks that this is not a winning issue across the aisle, you should come to watch the hearings in the Judiciary Committee. One of the wonderful things about the committee is that so many people from Baltimore City and Prince George's County come every year begging for their gun rights. Why? Because there's a racist program, in my opinion, my humble opinion. It's a discriminatory program that only gives permits out to business people. That needs to end, and on day one of my administration, I intend to instruct that to end and make sure that we are once again equal, because just like this critical race theory, equality is what our value is, not equity. Equity is Marxist.
I would definitely go with the child issue. I would take it and talk to the state police to pass a law. You have a constitutional right to carry a weapon. You have a constitutional right to own a weapon. They should be able to take your constitutional rights away. The state of Maryland should have to prove that you don't have, there's something wrong that you can't carry a weapon. You shouldn't have to go to them and prove that I need a weapon. You are a citizen of the United States. You are a citizen of Maryland. You shouldn't have to beg the government to enforce the Constitution. You say, I want to carry a gun. That's it. Let them prove that you don't have the ability. That's what I would do. I'd work with sheriffs, I'd work with the state police, and I would say everyone. And more, it's counterintuitive, you might say, more weapons in the street with regular people, with decent, law-abiding citizens, make you more safe. I have a quick example, man. My friend, he's a retired cop. He was in Baltimore City. A guy walked past his car, came back and walked towards him again. He was a trained cop, so he watched. He said when he got up near the car, he pulled out a gun. He stepped out of his car, pulled out his weapon, pointed at the man's face. Both of them ran away. Weapon, no problem. There was no violence. There was no shooting. That's why I'm for having the right to carry a weapon.
Question number 5, pertaining to taxes and regulations. As an example, currently the gas tax in Maryland is 36 cents per gallon. We are the 9th highest in the nation. What would your administration efforts be to decrease taxes and regulations in Maryland? Yes, Mr. Cox.
So on day one, we're going to work at reducing our property taxes, which is chasing away all of our Marylanders. Many of our seniors are having to move out of state. And why is this when the governorship and our party is on notice and on watch over the Department of Taxation and Assessments? We can do better than spend every dime of O'Malley's tax increases, which my opponent has been part of. Every single dime that we were promised that would come back to us, the 42 tax, horrific, including a rain tax. That money has been spent and the budget has nearly doubled to $62 billion. That money needs to stop being spent. It's creating inflation in Maryland. We need to push that down, send the tax credits back, and reduce our property taxes. And think about this. If you go to rich states, poor states, and look at the ALEC model, Maryland is at the bottom. We're 50th to retire here. This is probably why we've had 250,000 net lost residents and businesses in the last 8 years. 250,000 people have fled our state. We can change that. We can make Maryland better than Florida. We can make it so we have zero income tax. We can push hard to say that we're going to reduce our retirement and pension taxes. And we can make sure that our business and corporate taxes are much more competitive. Right now it's 8.25%. But you could go across the Potomac and you could say that if you're a business person, you'd be very smart. You could save yourself over 2%. You could go to Florida and save a ton of money. So why would people want to stay here with their headquarters as a business person? We need to make them want to be here, make them want to stay here. And as someone who is raising children, I don't want to price my kids out of this place. This is a beautiful state. This is our state. We've got the ocean, we've got the bay, we've got the eastern shore, we've got the mountains. And yet they can't afford a house. They can't afford the taxation. When I went to Prince George's County, and I stood there and had a discussion with many Democrats in this election, we got a round of applause on this issue because this is what is hurting Democrats in Prince George's County right now. Retirees are losing their houses after having paid them off all their lives because they can't make their tax payment. We can change that. We can immediately say, let's go with the constant dollar. Let's stop this inflationary dollar. And on day one, I will work for that. And on day one, we will suspend the gas tax and force the legislature to act to reduce and end this pain that we're feeling. So we're fighting for you, ladies. Thank you.
As I said earlier, you know, when you're retired, we're losing so many retired people out of the state. Retirees bring money to the state. Retirees aren't causing problems. Retirees are great to have. And like Mr. Cox said, we could be better than Florida. So the first thing I would do is if you're retired, you're over 65, you have your primary residence, you shouldn't have to pay property tax. Property tax should be exempted once you're over 65 when you're primary residence. All pensions should not be taxed. I would say tax-free on all pensions. Why? I mean, we want to save our retirees, save the community, have grandparents staying with their children, but also bring in more retirees. This would be a great place to retire. Regulations, we got to reduce regulations. I can tell you as a business owner what it's like to have regulations. There's so many in Baltimore County. When you try to build a new business, it's not about safety. You get layer and layer and layer of regulations, and there's a bunch of bureaucrats that get to come in and inspect everything again and again. It's jobs for the government. If you would reduce regulations, you would bring down the cost of products and the cost of business, and that's helping you fight inflation by bringing down all this unnecessary regulation. As a governor, I would say with tolls, I would stop. But right now with inflation, all tolls for Marylanders. If you're coming from another state, passing through, easy pass, we'll take your money. But if you're a Marylander, no. Because everything that gets shipped around here is going to be shipped on a car or a truck, and it's tolls and the gas prices are so high, that adds to inflation, and that adds to the cost of living in the state. We were at an event also where I'm talking about the gas tax. I would say suspend the gas tax. Especially don't implement the higher tax. There was a Democrat there that said, oh, well, you know, I wouldn't do that because that's fiscally irresponsible. And then she went on to talk about 3 new programs that she was going to put in place. It's like, isn't that fiscally irresponsible? But to her, no, we're going to have more programs. I would suspend the gas tax, and I would suspend all tolls, and I would steal something from Mr. Ficker. I want us to take the income tax, but I would also do the 2% because it's the quickest and the easiest thing for people to understand. 2% is a savings.
Thank you.
You know, you get a lot of chit-chat in these campaigns. Just look at my sign. It says, cut MD sales tax 2cents.com. Cut it by 1/3, $780 a year. If you're in favor of the tax cut, put it on your sign and let everyone know from day one that you're in favor of it. You're going to have a mandate when you go down to Annapolis. We're going to cut the state sales tax right away. But we're also going to bring in jobs with our job strike force. Governor Doug Ducey of Arizona is a good friend of mine. You know what he just did? He just gave all the state employees a raise and cut the income taxes in Arizona. How did he do that? He brought in Taiwan Semiconductor with a $12 billion plant, and he brought in Intel to make the largest private investment in Arizona history, a $20 billion plant. Intel also built a $20 billion plant in Ohio. Why not Maryland? Our Maryland Department of Commerce has been asleep, and our opponent, who was the head of it, hasn't accomplished anything in the last several years. Facebook just signed the largest lease in Austin, Texas history. Why not in Baltimore? Amazon just put a second headquarters with 25,000 jobs, averaging $155,000 each in Northern Virginia. Why not in Maryland? Apple's just building a $1 billion new campus with 3,000 jobs, averaging $188,000 each in North Carolina. Why not Maryland? Google has 30 regional headquarters in the United States, not one in Maryland. In 2022, they're spending $9.5 billion in capital improvements, not $1 in Maryland. Microsoft has 58,000 square feet in Maryland. They have 2.8 million square feet in the Washington area and just added 500,000 square feet in Atlanta. The Maryland Department of Commerce hasn't been doing its job. We're going to do the job for them in our new administration. We're going to bring jobs in and raise your tax base so we can afford some of these things.
Thank you. We will do the closing statements, and we will start with Mr. Werner.
Again, thank you for having me here. And my closing statement would be, one, anyone who wins the primary is going to be better than the Democrats. You take a good look at that, and you will see. There's a man in one of their debates, he's a Democrat that calls himself a bread and roses socialist. They go from the extreme left to socialism, and they're very proud of it. So you really can't have a Democrat, because who's going to fight the legislature? You're going to lose the state. It's going to be worse than California and New York. And as far as splitting the vote, any one of us have a chance to win the primary. There's someone up here, let's say Kelly, would like you to think she's been anointed, and she's definitely going to win. You know, she's like, oh, look, Hogan patted me on the back and I got the money. No, she's not anointed. Any one of us, you vote your conscience, any one of us can beat her. And it's not about splitting the vote, but you vote for who you want to vote for. And then you have to look in general. I think we all have a good chance of beating whoever comes out of the Democratic Party. You look at what they stand for, they are nowhere near an average Marylander. I feel I am a Marylander. I came up and I wanted to help you, the people of the state. That's why I ran. You look at what's on the Democratic side, you've got a bunch of career politicians, or people who have been in administrations that had just administrative function jobs. Perez, Westmore, they're not leaders. They're just government functionaries and socialists who are being backed from out of state. Why do we as Marylanders want Californians or President Obama to pick who we have to lead us? All of us can beat them. No matter who we pick, we got to beat them. And as far as any of us splitting the vote, no, we're up here to win. I'm up here to win. I believe I'm an average Marylander who can win. I think I connect to the people of Maryland, especially Central Maryland. This election is going to be built right here in Baltimore County. You know there's going to be a large section of Republican counties that are going to go Republican. And there's going to be a lot of Democrats that are going to go Democrat. To PG County, Montgomery County, Baltimore City. Baltimore County is going to be the swing county. That's what you have to win.
Our country's in a bad way. We have 8.6% inflation. The gas tax, the gas is now $5 a gallon. The food's all going up. I have spent the last 3 years on the boardwalk in Ocean City meeting average Marylanders. I was there for 8 hours yesterday. In 2 hours, I can meet people from all 23 counties. And I know that we have to give the average American a break. Our opponent is consorting with the Maryland Municipal League, which adds another layer of government, and they all want tax increases. We can't afford a tax increase in our state. We're going to give you 2 cents, $780 a year to keep, and then you can use that for your college expenses or to go on a vacation, whatever you want to do. That's money in your pocket. And we're going to bring in the businesses that haven't been coming here. You know what 2 of the poorest counties in Maryland are? Garrett and Allegheny counties. The biggest employers in Allegheny County are the hospital, Frostburg State, and the jail. There's no private industry. So Nucor Steel, which let it be known that they wanted a huge rolling steel plant outside of their bailiwick. And they also make these rebars, you know, rebars to strengthen the concrete foundations. They let it be known that they were looking elsewhere. Did Maryland Department of Commerce do anything? No. They've located and made the largest investment, private investment in West Virginia history. And our poor people in Allegheny County, who haven't seen a new company come in there in 30 years, they missed out on that. They're not going to miss out when Robin's governor, because he's going to be going out there talking to these people in person. We're going to be in the air within 1 hour to go and visit them.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out. It's an honor to be here tonight. Thank you for taking your time. I am asking you for your vote, and I'm hoping to earn it. I have been fighting for you. My wife and I have been fighting every day of our lives, not only in this campaign, but for the last 4 years in the legislature. You can look at all my videos, watch my debates in committee. And that is why, after fighting for our freedoms and risking everything I've got to do that, I stood up to run for governor. And that is why President Trump has endorsed only one candidate in this race, and that's my candidacy with my Lieutenant Governor, Jordana Schiffinelli. I'm asking for you to also endorse me. That is why the Maryland Right to Life has endorsed only one candidate in this race, and that is my candidacy. Why have they done that? Because President Trump believes we can get this done. He's seen us in action. Why has Maryland Right to Life done this? They don't normally get involved in primaries. They did it this time. Why? Because my opponent stood up in the Baltimore Sun and said she would basically be to the left of Governor Hogan. Governor Hogan, to his credit, and I defend him when he does what is right, because as I have for 2 years on the House floor, he vetoed this horrific abortion act that's taking our dollars and spending it to kill babies. $3.5 million also to train abortionists in this state, making us a sex trafficking jurisdiction, an abortion tourism jurisdiction, and potentially, we killed this bill, but an infanticide jurisdiction. That was another bill we killed, but my opponent said she would let it all be enforced under her watch. There's only one thing that we must do, and that is we've got to look at ourselves, our families, our kids, our grandkids, and say, are we going to go along to get along and once more? Are we going to stand up and fight? Our candidacy has the ability to win. We're the only candidacy that has fought on all of these issues, and the Democrats are looking for someone that will say, let's restore the Constitution and do this right. I'm asking for your vote, CoxfordFreedom.com. Thank you, Dr.
Gentlemen, on behalf of the Republican Women of Baltimore County and the Patriot Club of America, we would like to very much thank you for participating. I want to tell you how impressed I was. It's not only your professionalism, but your friendliness to each other on the stage, and I agree with you, Mr. Werner. Any of the three of you would be an outstanding candidate. So ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it. So, thank you very much again. Thank you to the Republican Women of Baltimore County for co-hosting this with the Patriot Club of America. If you've never been to one of our two meetings, the women meet here. We meet the first Tuesday of every month at the Charles Village Pub. Ours is one raucous, lively meeting with music, festivities, and very great speakers. So again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you candidates. Please exit that door and don't forget the straw poll. Thank you. God bless
Double J. Double J, what is that? Is that a document? You really want your name? Yeah, everybody wants to know what you